Hi everybody, this is Sheila Aliens and today is November 21st, 2011. And this video is dedicated to the families in Colorado that are fighting to stop the fracking that has been going on there and seemingly largely unregulated. And I just want to let them know that I live in Arizona. And I just started noticing some things in the news around our country, similar hazmat incidents popping up all over the country, but more specifically, in this case, in Colorado is what I'm going to be focusing on for the purpose of this video. Children are being possibly put in danger by fracking because they're being evacuated from their schools. This happened in Aurora, Colorado, at Paris Elementary School on the 16th of November. Students were evacuated and one cafeteria worker was sent to the hospital because she got sick from whatever odor caused her to get sick. And just a little bit north of you guys in Fort Collins, Colorado, on the 18th of November, we had an even worse situation where 14 students were sent to hospital by a mysterious odor, cause unknown. Completely just unknown. They searched up and down and they didn't find anything. That's disturbing to me. I don't even live there and I'm worried for your kids, and the dots that I'm connecting connect it to fracking as blatantly broadcasted on local news channels. One day they'll broadcast a segment about fracking in the same area that the next day they're talking about a mystery odor at an elementary school that prompts an evacuation. The distance between the fracking location in the news segment that aired a day before the children were evacuated, the distance between those two locations is 13.7 miles, 23 minutes. So it's just a theory, but these coincidences are just a little too weird. So I'm just going to lay it out. I'm going to show you. You do what you will with it. My intentions are just to help the kids and stop the government from doing this for money. It's sick. It shouldn't be allowed, and I'm disgusted that there hasn't been an investigation on all these mysterious events happening within weeks of each other, days of each other, hours of each other. I'm disgusted. I don't have a news crew behind me to help me investigate this stuff. It needs to be brought to attention. That's basically what this video is for. And I'm all ears for any opposing or agreeing comments, so long as they're respectful. Because maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong. It sure as heck couldn't hurt to try to let the parents know so they can bring it to their next little fracking meeting and tell them to stick it, because they have crossed the line, in my opinion. Thank you.
Students will return to an elementary school tomorrow after a mysterious odor forced an evacuation today. The odor was coming from the cafeteria at Paris Elementary School in Aurora. One staff member felt so sick she had to go to the hospital.
A strange smell originating from the kitchen prompted the school to call 911.
Irritating odor in the air. They did evacuate the school immediately.
It triggered breathing problems in one adult who was taken to the hospital.
No students were in contact with the irritant.
With temperatures lingering around freezing, scared students were wrapped in blankets to keep them warm.
Our teacher told us that some people were getting sick.
Parents living within sight of the school came over right away.
Well, I thought the worst. I was all scared because my daughter and my niece were there, so I was freaked out. I'm still shaking up.
Those children who didn't go home right away were loaded onto buses and taken to the nearby North Middle School.
We're trying to get our kids.
It was an experience that left some very shaken.
She's scared. She's still crying.
In Aurora, Andrea Lopez, CBS 4 News.
And the mystery is solved. Firefighters now say a leaking refrigerant caused that smell.
Fracking is one of the most contentious issues across America today, and it could be coming to a neighborhood near you. Oil and gas companies use hydraulic fracking, injecting fluid thousands of feet underground to expand cracks in rocks. It releases oil and gas used to produce the energy that we all eventually use. There are more than 45,000 wells in Colorado, mostly in rural areas, but that could soon change. 9 News reporter Kevin Torres is in the Cross Creek community in Aurora for us tonight. And Kevin, that community certainly not all that rural.
No, it certainly isn't, Kyle. In fact, if you take a look around, you can see how many homes there are here, and pretty large homes. We're talking 400 homes, and thousands of people live in this community. And the issue here is that an energy company, a well-known energy company in Colorado, purchased the mineral rights to a lot of this land. And we're not talking land that's far away. We're talking land that is literally right across the street, almost 100 feet. And it is that concern that has a lot of people asking exactly what's going to happen.
It's a pretty peaceful community.
In this corner of Colorado,
There's not much noise, there's not much traffic.
life is about to change.
We've divvied up the neighborhood into different sections.
And neighbors like Eric Neely and Tracy Cook
And to bring the awareness up.
are doing all they can do to prevent that change from occurring.
I mean, when we built our house and bought out here, this was probably the last thing we would ever think of that would come around us.
There's no reason why it has to start so close to us.
It is drilling. The Houston-based energy company Anadarko leased the mineral rights to most of the land around here and has expressed interest in fracking for oil.
90 or more % of the wells drilled in Colorado are hydraulically fractured.
David Neslin is the director of the Colorado Oil and Gas Conservation Commission. His job is to regulate the drilling companies and to approve their permits.
But I can assure you that we all take the protection of the environment, the protection of public health and safety very seriously.
Neslin says Anadarko hasn't applied for any permits in this area yet, but has acquired most of the land. Neighbors who've met him say they don't believe Neslin understands their concerns, seeing as how his department is funded by the oil companies he regulates.
In one form or another, all of our funding comes from the industry.
So pretty much you think that they are concerned about oil first and health second?
That's the way I feel right now, yes.
Neslin says proximity to the communities does play a role in the permit process, but more than that, he wants to assure people about the safety procedures taken, especially when it comes to concerns about water contamination.
You know, what surprised me the most, Kevin, is the amount of groundwater data that the state of Colorado has.
Neslin says oil and gas companies are required to take water samples before and after digging occurs, but residents say there's also the concern about property devaluation, loud noise, and large vehicles passing through around the clock.
The whole laundry list of things.
They say they're not against drilling, they're only against drilling in their backyards.
That part is definitely going to affect us.
So Colorado Gas and Oil says that if you are thinking that there's going to be more of these popping up in more urban areas, you should pretty much expect that, especially in the years coming. One of the big issues that a lot of folks are concerned about is the chemicals, that special chemical that most of these companies use to make use when they do the fracking into the ground, mixed in with water and sand as well. It's kind of like giving away KFC's secret recipe, so they're not required to do that. But the Colorado Oil and Gas Commission, well, they are going to vote on September 5th to make it a rule, make it mandatory for these companies to have to produce the ingredients and show people exactly what they're putting in there. If it is passed, which it likely will be, that will go into effect in early January. Live in Aurora tonight, I'm Kevin Torres, 9 News.
That would certainly change the game in a significant way. Kevin Torres, thanks.
We start with breaking news out of Fort Collins. A middle school evacuated after a strange smell makes several students sick. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Deborah Takahara.
And I'm Ron Zappolo. At least a dozen students checked out by doctors after a chemical smell started spreading through Blevins Middle School in Fort Collins. Fox 31 Denver's Tammy Vigil joins us live with the very latest information. Tammy?
Ron, you can see that Poudre Fire Authority is still on scene here at Blevins Middle School. Firefighters still trying to figure out what the odor is and where it came from. Now, about 12:30, students noticed an odor in one of the science classrooms, a laboratory. That's when students and staff were evacuated from the building as a precaution. The district then decided to close the school for the day about 2 o'clock when they realized this was not going to end quickly. More importantly, a group of students didn't feel well in the school, so they got them some help.
We had approximately 15 students that were taken to the hospital with some symptoms of illness. We don't believe that it's anything serious. It was as a safety precaution. We called all of those parents personally to let them know.
Also, an adult here at the school transported him or herself to the hospital to get treatment. So about 500 kids getting an early start to their weekend. Firefighters just went back inside the building to figure out where this odor is coming from, and they don't know how long that will take. In Fort Collins, Tammy V. Hill, Fox 31, Denver.
Hey, Tam, to the best of your knowledge, the 15 kids are okay this afternoon?
That is what the official from the Poudre School District is saying, and we actually talked to a little girl, a 6th grader, who came by here, and she said she was one of the people who were transported. And she said initially she just was coughing and she was sneezing, but she's fine. She didn't smell anything either, but that little girl's fine, and she said everyone else was fine, but it was more of a safety precaution.
Okay, Tammy Veal in Fort Collins. Tammy, thanks.
The Reunion subdivision of Commerce City is just across the field from the fracking operation, which uses chemicals, sand, and water pressure to extract oil and natural gas from underground. CBS 4's Andrea Lopez is there live tonight, and Andrea, residents are worried about the effects of fracking.
Kathy, they have many concerns and many questions because they say they just found out about this drilling operation last night, one that is still going on right now when they were told it would be over by noon. So they had an emergency meeting last night. Now, a representative from the gas company did show up to that meeting to answer questions, but many people say they still have too many unanswered questions. Sunday morning, a fleet of trucks lined Tower Road, backing up traffic as they pull into this well site just southwest of 104th Avenue. Hillcorp Energy will be doing some fracking here to determine how much oil can potentially be drawn from this well, which has produced oil in past years. Fracking involves pumping a mixture of sand, water, and chemicals into layers of rock to fracture it, creating a pathway, releasing the product. But many people living in the Reunion community just across the field of dried sunflowers say they were caught off guard by this sudden operation.
The environmental concerns that we have are air pollution. As you can see, there's a lot of smoke and debris, and how much of that is chemicals into the air.
They have unanswered questions and are very fearful of any potential environmental and health effects from those chemicals.
And how that's going to impact our children and our health. I'm pretty upset about it, and I'm not sure how long they will be over there drilling, how long it's going to go on for.
Neighbors are concerned not only about any immediate effects, but also long-term effects.
Down the road, there may be something that happens that could cause toxins in the environment.
Noting that this piece of land between the well site and the neighborhood is earmarked for a new elementary school.
That could affect elementary kids playing on the school ground in the next 5 years.
Commerce City Council member Jason McEldowney,
we want to understand exactly what the rules are,
was in the emergency meeting last night. He gives credit to the energy company representatives that showed up, but would like a more thorough meeting.
We were obviously concerned in that we didn't have any notification, and on one hand we understand that. The site, while it sits 100 or 200 yards from homes, sits in the county. We are obviously standing here in the city, but it's within a stone's throw of the homes that sit right behind you here.
Some residents say even if they have their questions answered, it may not make a dent in their fears.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any amount of information that can make me feel better about fracking going on 5 blocks from my house.
The energy company could not be reached for an on-camera interview, but we were told that this is an operation to retrieve oil and that they are planning an in-depth town hall meeting after Thanksgiving to answer questions in more detail. I should say, too, that there are people who did not want to go on camera today who do support this operation, saying they're comfortable with the fracking process and that this is good for the economy. It creates jobs and also creates some self-sufficiency when it comes to oil and gas. Back to you, Kathy.
A lot of questions still out there. Okay, Andrea, thank you. The oil well has been in place since the mid-90s and is already permitted.